Comment, bienvenue, welcome one and all to another live stream. I am proud to say I have in the studio two friends of mine. Yes, that's true. They are definitely friends of mine. Coraline, or CJ to her friends. Stephanie Mitchell-Hughes here. Come out the other end of the first part of her Resilience 2 journey, and now on a mission to educate. But we are here, coincidentally, just after the day after my birthday. Hooray, birthday. By the way, did I tell you? So before we get into it, right? So I'm 59, or as my daughter calls me, an old age mentioner. So because it sounds like pensioner, you see. And it's a weird age. It's not quite 60. Mm-hmm. It's not quite 50. It's sort of floating somewhere. It's almost on the cusp, but not quite. But I realized one thing this morning. 59 is a prime number. Oh. I am Optimus Prime.
Okay. Okay.
I just thought I'd share that with everyone.
So did you have like cake and stuff for your birthday?
Hang on, I gotta shut the door for this one.
Uh-oh.
So we live with our best friends at the moment have got like an RV type thing, and they're staying in our yard and are hooked up to the electricity and water, and they're staying there, and we spend evenings together, and sometimes they stay there, sometimes whatever. But it's been great. They've been here for a couple of months. It's wonderful. But I love the woman, but we'll call her C because I don't want to, just in case she's listening. She made me a birthday cake that was supposed to be yay high and with apples and stuff like that in it. Turned out to be this thin. And was like a splat, and had the texture of cardboard and no flavor.
Ooh.
You know, it's the thought that counts.
Yeah.
Yes. And I was thinking about that thought. And under normal conditions, Coraline, my tendency would be going, "You've ruined my birthday. It's all wrong. It's broken. It's in the bin. How can you do this to me?" But instead, I just laughed and I went, next. And that's so unlike me. I normally, well, I would have normally thrown my toys out of the pram, and I would have been upset because the truth is, my whole life is built on expectations.
Yeah.
And normally, if I had an expectation that a certain event's going to happen, and I've doubled down on that, and I've checked, and the expectation that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then when it doesn't happen, I've known in the past for me to throw a toddler's tantrum over it. I mean, it's.
I think you and I have talked about this before too. Like, especially with the autism brain, like I love the way that you phrase it in terms of it being an expectation, because that's kind of what you hold on to feel grounded. So when the expectation isn't met, it's not just that it's an unmet expectation. It's like, okay, the ground just came out from under me, so now what happens?
Nothing makes sense. Nothing makes sense. I set my belief system around this event happening. I knew what I was going to do after the event and before it. But when the event comes along and it's like there's a gaping void where an event should be, I've known myself feel like tears and lost. And what do? I'm angry and sad, and I feel like nobody's listening to me and it's all wrong, but I didn't. So I'm
kudos to you.
Well, yeah, I was so surprised. I remember because I don't know. You guys do you have an narrator? Oh, it's quite common for people on ASD. I have a narrator. A person who talks to me about what I'm doing next and about my life,
I
almost like a third person voice saying, "So you did that? How did you find that?" and things like that. And usually the voice would be going, "Gareth collapses in misery because his expectations are once again dashed." And instead it went,
well, so maybe that's what being 59 means. You've gone to
I don't know. Here's the thought. I've got two contrasting thoughts. One of them's not as kind to myself as the other. So the kind one is maybe I've ascended to a point in nirvana where I understand that I don't need it all to happen the right way at the right time. I can let it go, and because tomorrow's yet to come, so who knows? Maybe I will get apple cake eventually, but right now it's not there. So grab a cup of tea and let's get on with life. That's the kindly one. The other one is I've set my expectations so low
That,
Well, but that's called managing expectations. That's not bad.
well, yeah, but when you get to the point where your bar for expectations are flat on the ground, so
yeah.
you applaud the leaf falling, or
Or you
yeah,
well, that's interesting. What you're saying is interesting because, and I don't necessarily talk directly about a particular person, as in my former spouse. I don't talk about him because this really isn't, it's not, none of my journey is about him. It's about me.
no, of course,
But when you were talking about that, the thing that popped into my head was the fact that I never had celebrations. So we've got this theme or this title of celebrations, built as a way of building resilience. And so while I was married, my birthday wasn't celebrated. I rarely, if ever, got gifts on any day, whether it be my birthday, Christmas, Valentine's Day, Mother's Day. And over the course of the years, my children didn't even give me a card unless it was something they were never taken to get me a card,
right,
unless but what as they got older, they would make me cards. And I can remember once a friend of mine took my son because he's friends with her son. And the day before Mother's Day, she took them to the store. And for a reason, I don't know why she did this, but she bought for my son, and my son was giving this to me, a tape, like a CD player. And he brought it for me for Mother's Day.
right,
But it became such a huge issue with threats of calling my friend and taking it back and saying that it was too much, that my son, who at the time was maybe 9, 10 years old, maybe, just burst out into tears and started crying because he felt that he had done something wrong by giving me this gift.
yeah, I get you, I get you, I get you.
And so for me, I have to, as I'm on this journey and I'm going back and I'm rebuilding my life and having it move in a different direction,
Right,
the challenge is recognizing, and well, not so much recognizing, but being okay with celebrating birthdays, milestones, that type of thing. Because when my children were younger, I used to really celebrate their birthdays and I used to like my birthday and I
right,
celebrated my birthday in a small way. And so the thing that I guess message that I would leave people with is you can, even though you may be going through a really tough time or you're going through a transition and your life is shifting, celebration helps to build resilience. And it's important to celebrate. Like you said, you could have taken, Gareth, a completely different direction for your birthday, and it could have,
it could have
made
spoiled
you feel
everything. It could have
depressed.
all been spoiled,
Right.
exactly.
But what you did was just took it and said, we're going to move on to something else. And by moving on, it gives you space to continue celebrating in another way that is meaningful to you.
Yeah.
Right.
And Stephanie, that's the really key part about celebration. I can remember years ago when my husband and I were first married, we were going through a Sunday school class on how to protect your marriage. And it was a series. and one of the days was focused on, they said celebrate holidays, celebrate traditions. And it's very true, both, you know, for individuals and for organizations, because celebration is where we find meaning. It's where we pack meaning into things. And we're not just, you know, physical beings. We are emotional and spiritual beings as well. And so we need that sense of meaning to help us feel grounded and to feel purposeful and to feel connected to other people. So when we bypass all aspects of celebration, we're really robbing ourselves of a key protective factor for our mental health. And if you think about it, when you are going through really, really difficult and challenging times in your life, you think about the times you've cracked open your photo album or scrolled through your phone and you've looked back on the good times and how much that restores a sense of hope and healing. That nostalgia can be very hopeful and very healing. Like we really do pull on those experiences to help get us through when things are difficult.
Yeah. What I wound up doing, because there was never like any type of celebration, most of the time I just started to pretend like it wasn't that important. That my birthday, started pretending it's not that important. Mother's Day, not that important. What's important is that my children are here and that they're with me and I can celebrate with them. And I think that for me, what that wound up, that approach, what that did was it pulled me further and further down into the depression that I was living in, that I was just steeped in for so many years and not knowing it. And I think that that happened to me because of my own low self-worth and my own lack of confidence about myself, you know, within myself.
Sure.
You know, and some of this we've talked about this stuff before offline. I think that it's that the ugliest girl in the whole school narrative that, you know, until very recently was just in my head. It was just like in my head. You know, where that person called me the ugliest girl in a high school of about 1,500 to 2,000 students. And I just internalized that. And, you know, the question I had to really ask myself was, how in the heck much longer are you going to carry this? Because I'm going to be 62 years old this year. And I'm like, is that the way that I'm going to live or define myself for the rest of my life?
Yeah.
You
But you
know,
know, even if it's not a birthday, because there are also certain people groups who don't celebrate birthdays at all, right?
yeah, and
And
that's
so
true.
then
That's true.
you know, but the key concept, I think, to your point, is that celebration, and where are you building meaning, and where are you building positive ritual in your life? And you know,
I think it's so important for people to have a point of reflection where you stop and you say, okay, let's quickly recap. This is how far we've come and where are we pointing to? And look how exciting the future looks. The thing is, I think if you never, I mean, I don't think you should, I can't remember who said it, that the past is a great place to visit, but I wouldn't want to live there. It's a good to look at it, to perhaps learn a couple of lessons. Like if the thing is hot, probably don't touch it again. You know,
Right.
if there's a big hole, you know, walk around it. It's simple stuff. But I don't think it's a place where you have to turn over and reevaluate yourself and you chastise yourself and compare yourself and measure yourself and judge yourself. I think all these things is just, this is the quickest way to cycle down towards a whole depressive thing.
Right.
By the way, that was a friend of mine, Mandy Elliott, who just sent us hearts and stuff like that, which is very sweet. That's
Thank
she
you.
popped up.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Mandy.
no,
Are there? I have a question for you.
she's the one who did my official testing. She tested me for. I never told you, Corinne. I got full results from for ADHD, ADD, dyspraxia, dyslexia, and autism. So I've got the full dance card.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
But she did the full testing for me, and it was a wonderful thing she did for me. That's very kind.
That's awesome.
It was awesome.
I have a question for both of you, and maybe that links to your new diagnosis or
Yeah.
more complete diagnosis. Are
Yeah.
there things that as you have gained years and wisdom, gained life experience, are there things that maybe didn't seem important to celebrate before, but now you found are really important to celebrate moving forward? Like, so Stephanie, you talked about how for a while there it wasn't your birthday, and now you're thinking, no, like I want to celebrate that. Maybe
Mhm.
it's a holiday or a celebration you gave up and you built back into your life, or maybe it's something new that's just unique to you that you're starting to celebrate.
So what has happened now is because my children are young adults, they celebrate my birthday.
Hmm.
And one of the things that they do is they give me the gift cards. And one of the primary gift card that I receive is to a salon, the Charles Pinzone Grand Salon here in Columbus. I don't get my hair done there or anything, but they have a bunch of other services. And so one of the questions that they ask me after a period of time has passed is, okay, have you used your gift card? You
Mm.
know, what have you done? And I've gotten better about it, but at first, I mean, months would pass. And my daughter, I mean, she lives with me through a much of this. And, she's like, Mom, did you use the card? Because the other thing is that I'm notorious for misplacing things.
Okay.
So that's the other part of it. But they celebrate me. And the other thing that I see, and I give my daughter a hard time about this, but I think that it is just absolutely great. She celebrates, and the way she celebrates enough for all of us. So I mean, she just is like, so she does a birthday photo shoot. And so
Oh,
she has a special outfit that she's gotten. She almost has like a theme. Her hair's done, her nails are done. I mean,
Wow.
makeup, I mean, everything. Okay, so now she's getting ready to graduate from law school. And she has had graduation photo shoots. She had one which graduated from college, even though I was like, this really seems a bit over the top, complete with wardrobe changes. So this time she's going to have a graduation photo shoot with it, with her gown on and her hat and
yep.
her cap and her makeup and all of these other things. But then she's decided that she's doing a Legally Blonde photo shoot, graduation photo shoot.
I
And
love it.
I'm like, what? And so she's doing it, of course, based on the movie
Yeah.
Legally Blonde. And so,
Is she gonna wear
now
like a pink um
heaven only knows how
wool
this is going to
suit,
look. I mean, I'm not really sure, but I know
little
that
doggy?
she's she is planning because boxes are coming to our house. So she's planning. And so
Boxes.
I'm just okay, but
Yeah.
she really does that. And it reminds me of who I used to be. Now, I never had a graduation photo shoot or, all of that. But the thing I really enjoyed doing was getting together with my friends. This is as an adult, and everybody just going and sharing a meal together. Everybody pay for their own meal.
But
And
I
we
love
just,
that. But I think
we
that
just
that
go
that
get,
that's my
yeah,
favorite kind.
because food builds connection,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
Well, I
that
think sitting,
is more
not
important.
I don't like the standing up where everybody walks around little groups. I like when they sit down and break bread together.
Yeah. So that is what I enjoy
Right.
doing, but I think that the thing that I am learning increasingly, and it kind of was driven home last night when Oprah came on with her show about, what is it, blame and shame and using weight loss drugs
Okay.
and all of that. I did not watch it. I was like, I'm not watching this because the thing that it was like, at some point, I have to be okay with who I am and be accepting of the body that I'm in. And I think that it's like, I don't want to spend all of my life worrying about this and worrying about that. I just want to enjoy what I have.
Right.
And I want to continue to be useful and busy and contribute. I want to continue
Yeah.
doing those things and focusing on those things.
Yeah.
And I don't want to, put people down for using Ozempic and whatever the other drugs are.
No, this is what you've got to do for you to be able to move
Right.
forward with a good quality of life. Yeah.
Right. I mean, and does that mean that, I'm not going to, first of all, because I have long COVID, I seriously doubt that anyone would prescribe weight loss drugs for me, but that's neither here nor there. I'll still do the things that I need to do to take care of myself. To me, that is more important than not the way that I look, because I think that if I take care of myself, that boosts my own personal confidence and my own belief in in who I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just think that we have to shed all of these layers. I think that is what to me, that's what should start happening. And that's really what I want to do. That's why it's become so important to me to rip out that little thing in the back of my head, ugliest girl in the whole school. You're ugly, and you don't go out on a lot of dates, and before I got married, never really had a boyfriend, and all of these things that just can crowd you and crowd my own thinking and feelings of self-worth.
I hate hearing that you measure yourself in somebody else's eyes. I know it's easy for me to say that. It's because of my mental disposition as to see myself as different from everybody else anyway. So I don't measure myself, but I see other people doing it, and I just think I just makes me sad, actually, because you've got so much going for you, Steph.
It's very common, and some of it too is rooted in history and in generation. I was looking yesterday on with it being International Women's History Month.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of interesting little blasts from the past popping up on social media, and one that I saw was an Ebony magazine cover. Stephanie, I'm not sure if you saw it pop up in your stuff. And I didn't look at the year, but from the photos, I would say maybe the 50s or 60s.
Okay.
It's going to make me cringe, isn't it?
Yes, and it had different pictures of different Black women on the front, and the what do you call this not the citation?
the little caption.
Thank you. The caption. Caption along with the photo said, "Are Negro girls getting prettier?" This is a Black magazine, right? So if you think about the messages that young girls have gotten over the years, and then when you layer that on top of race, right? And you layer that on top of class, right? Who can even achieve these beauty standards that have been set, and how that can chip away at self-esteem. I do think that one positive that I have seen when I look at my daughter is 14, she'll be 15 in 2 weeks. I think that they have more people speaking positivity into their lives than previous generations before them.
Yeah.
Does your daughter have to does she wear makeup?
Oh, she loves makeup, but you know what? She doesn't. To some extent, I hear some of those insecurities, but there's a lot of positivity going her way, that things that I didn't hear growing up. Right. People affirming her body. So, when she did go through a phase where she was very insecure about her weight and the shape of her body. And, and I would tell her, and she would say, "Oh, I'm fat." And I said, even if you are fat, so what? Since when is fat a 4-letter word? You know? And a couple of months ago, she said, you know what? I love my body. I'm accepting my body. For a 14-year-old girl in this day and age to say that, that's pretty big.
For a
Same thing.
14-year-old boy these days, I swear, boys and girls are all struggling with their shape, their body. I remember my son, who's just turned 31. I met up with him for the first time in a year for my birthday. He came over. It was lovely. We were hugging each other all for hours. It was wonderful. With his boyfriend, they've set a date. They're getting married next year. It's and
that's a reason to celebrate.
He doesn't turn into a groomzilla. My daughter said that my son is a groomzilla. That's what she's called him.
You said that. You said that.
He's a groomzilla. She keeps going, he's a groomzilla. What's wrong with him? So I hope your son doesn't turn into a groomzilla.
No. They're actually, Jack, who's his boyfriend, is sweet as anything. And they have the cutest bickering in front. You have the last one. No, you have the last one. And it's like that. It's that kind of.
Get around. No.
Yeah, I know. But they're just lovely. They're just cute together, and they really care for each other, and they've been through some tough times. And but the one thing was, I remember him confiding to me when he was like 16, that he wouldn't leave the house and that he'd done his hair a certain way, and he put on his eyeliner and stuff like that. And it's like, I think you need to accept yourself as you are without any addition. Yeah. And then if you want to put addition on, then you can enjoy it, because you're creating a new extra character on. But you have to enjoy the original character first.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, okay, so for me, I was called ugly by my peers for as long as I can remember. You know, from
me too,
grade school through
me too.
Junior high through high school. And see, you go to school with the same core group of kids. And then as you get to junior high and high school, there are more communities that are added. And so for me, it is really hard to unsee that image or thought that I had about myself. But I think what I've decided is just to simply go on, regardless, you know, to push through, regardless of the fact that I can't unsee that. I can't unthink that perception of me.
Yeah, but
for a long time, I used to beat myself up because I couldn't unthink that perception of me and what I look like and all of these other types of things. And
the only thing that gets me is that at some point you've got to look at yourself in the mirror and say, they're stupid. They can't see who I am anyway. They're blinded by their own ignorance.
Well, and the thing is that in large part is one of the reasons that I really don't go back and to that group of people. You know, there are some people within that community who I was friends with. And if you saw my senior high school picture, you'd be like, what do you mean people thought you were ugly? Look at all these things that you were involved in.
Because people are just hateful people, and they always want to find something to pick at. They just have to. People can't just leave well enough alone. And it's not, and to some extent, you know, some people say it's, they feel a lack of confidence about themselves. But that's true for some people, but also some people just like tearing people down. They just want to be negative, and because they think that it's cute and they think it's funny to tear people down. It's entertaining for them. And so it doesn't matter. You could be Halle Berry or Kim Kardashian or Jennifer Lopez, and they're still going to find fault with you.
Oh, sure. Right. And I think some people like doing it professionally. They turn into journalists, and some people also like doing it professionally, and they turn into politicians. The truth of the matter is, they're stupid heads, Stephanie, and they never knew you anyway, so they're lost. Right.
Well, and I had a chance to go to Spelman, and Spelman really saved me in a lot of ways.
Spelman sounds awesome.
Those are the people who I like to be with.
Well, because Spellman celebrated women.
Well, and that's true.
And I'm assuming still does, but celebrates women and celebrates all the things that women contribute just as they are, just as we show up.
And they tell you to go out. They tell you, I think that the thing that's been consistent from 1881 until now is they send you out into the world to change it. Mm-hmm. And so if you're sending me out into the world to change it, then that means that in the time that I was there, you equipped me to do that. And part of equipping is putting all of these examples of people, you know, either who teach you, but are out in the world doing things.
Yeah.
To see that. And, you know, it was really the first time that I ever, and the other part of it though, is that I have a number of friends who are men who are from Morehouse. Mm-hmm. And so they are my friends, and I know they care about me as a person.
Yeah.
Whereas I didn't really feel a lot of that from a good chunk of my peers. I'm not going to say all of them because that's not true, but a good chunk of them.
Right.
And just for clarification, so Morehouse and Spelman, these are both historically Black colleges and universities. Right. Very, very prestigious, but Morehouse is an all men's college. Spelman is an all women's college. Just for anybody that doesn't know.
I've had the privilege on this live stream of meeting another lady from Spelman and also a gentleman from Morehouse.
Oh, that is right. Who did you meet?
You introduced me.
Oh, Frank. Yeah, my class. Yeah, my friend.
Who is this lady?
It threw me when you said another one. But yes, my classmate Frank Wilson is a prime example of who I'm talking about.
There you go.
Outstanding person.
He was really nice,
really brilliant, and just very, very kind gentleman. He's a very kind person.
In the Jewish religion, or in Yiddish, we have a word for what he is, which is a mensch, a stand-up man who is reliable and relied upon by his community. And that's what he was, like a proper mensch. You know?
But isn't that a great example of building celebration just in your day-to-day, right? And how even that builds resilience. Like, it doesn't even have to be a celebration of yourself, but to celebrate other people, how even that can be enriching for ourselves and give us confidence and give us hope. And
I'm actually going to wind this podcast up in a second. But before we do that, I just wanted to say that actually part of the reason why I am so resilient now, much more rock solid than I used to be, is in part through your efforts, Coraline, because Coraline and I did a lot of podcasting together, and during that time it was a proper full-on voyage of discovery, because I knew very little about Black history. I got no idea about the life and the expectations that happen on either a Black female or a Black person of any kind, especially on your side of the world. It's the Black experience over here is quite different, I have to say. I've spoken to a lot of Black guys and females here, and they report that yes, all that exclusion, all that sensitivity, all of that stuff exists, but just not in the same intensity as you seem to experience it in America and Canada. And Stephanie, the work that we've done together, where I've kind of lived vicariously through you by learning about your history and understanding what brought you here. And then but all of it has been part of my own story now, because I'm a much more resilient person because of it. You know, the blinkers came off, and rather than being scared to death, I've kind of been accepting and learning. So thanks, guys. It's been a really cool thing, man. I could never have...
it's been cool working with you, Gareth. When you first said podcast, I was like, I'm like, Gareth, I am not podcasting anywhere. I'm a guest.
She was like that.
I'm not, but I think it's really been a journey. and a lot of this for me has been helped me to really refine, like
Mhm.
working with Coraline and having these podcasts and talking to you and just exploring these topics. It's really helped me to refine my focus and the work that I should be doing, really.
Hmm.
So I thank you for that.
Well,
I
look,
do.
it's been a journey that's not over yet, and
Nope.
that I would like to say personally, thank you very much to Coraline, personally, who I've spent an awful lot of time with,
Mhm.
um, and learned so much from it. My goodness, there was a full range of emotions throughout it as well. There was everything from upset to astonishment through to acceptance, everything. It was great. I mean, I say great at the time. It was like, wow, I didn't even know how to deal with half the things.
That could be a whole other conversation on what we've gained, even just the three of us, what we've gained from working with each other and through our conversations. Very eye-opening, very, very eye-opening experiences, very eye-opening dialogues,
Yeah.
and things that have shaped and framed the way I've thought about things moving forward.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
suspect that we've each had a window into the other's experience,
Yeah.
and it's given us almost like rotated ourselves suddenly through 180. So suddenly we're looking back on how might we have seen that situation, and
Yeah.
it could be quite contrary to our original first apprehension. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
so all it remains for me to say is thank you very much for your incredible contribution, Coraline.
Thank
Stephanie
you.
Mitchell, Hughes, the ongoing life and times of an incredible lady,
Well, thank you,
and to
Gareth.
all of you listening, I thank you for sticking with us through all of this. It's been a journey, as I said, not over, but hopefully from time to time we'll have lovely Coraline popping up, because she's always an exceptional contributor. I think that might be a good one.
And happy birthday once more, Gareth.
Yes, happy birthday,
One
Gareth.
more rotation around the sign. Whoop, whoop.
Yes.
So all I got to say to all of you is just remember, it sounds terrible, it's sort of Christmas card inscribed, but the past is the past. You got to let it go. So it's been done and gone. The future is a mystery. So we just got to deal with what's here and now and try and make the best fist of it that we can. And try and work out where your friends are. Spend time with friends and family. I'm sounding like a preacher, but I'm telling you, I've learned more about that recently than I'd ever done before. As an adopted person, as a person who felt rejected both by faith and by school and colleagues and everything, to feel that I really found that I'm within a community that it just accepts me, is just wow. It's the tops for me. But I'd say to everyone, just power yourself through this week. I feel it's going to be a great one, and remember, maintain great mental health. Thank you, one and all. Bye bye now.